Anyways, what are you guys' theories for Season 2.5? Because with Season 2.5 coming along the way, they're going to introduce all sorts of new gallery cards and different events and things to tell us what the story is going to be like next. Because if you haven't seen my previous videos on this, please go check them out. It's me going over all the different lore of Season 2 right now, which is the Hellfire Gala, right? And then Ultron comes in and basically decimates everything because he wants the power of Cerebro to be able to multiply himself and never die and be, you know, omnipotent over everything, over every universe, right? Which is obvious because it's a superhero thing. So with Ultron coming out as a playable character, the reason he's coming out is, if you haven't read it, if you don't know what's going on, the reason he's coming back as a playable character, as a support mainly, is because Tony Stark, or well, Ultron, one of his little robot dudes was killed, right? Obviously. So there's just like a lifeless husk laying right next to Tony Stark. And Tony Stark, well, it was like, well, there's no way we're gonna beat Ultron because he's processing like 1,000,000 miles an hour, right? And if he's seeing every move that we're making, there's no way we can beat him. So we need something like him on our side. So instead of creating something like Vision, which he thought about making, but he thought that Ultron would inevitably hack him. So he took an old husk of Ultron and basically reworked it and made him good. So that's why he's becoming a support character for Season 2.5. But what are gonna be our theories for this Ultron? Because what if he does get hacked? Now, he's a support, so he is going to be processing at the same power as Ultron is, but he's also going to be thinking of the Avengers. He's gonna have the good in him, right? That or at least that's what Tony Stark made him to be. So we'll see if that actually ends up happening. But I just wanted to theorize like what I think might happen in Season 2.5, because Hellfire Girl is so interesting because we've seen Wolverine and Psylocke and Namor and people like that all come together and fight Ultron because he's so insane. Like, look, this is Tony putting himself into the Ultron machine, or the husk. That way we create Ultron, which is the character that we can all play in Season 2.5. But do you think they will beat Ultron? That's the question. I feel like they'll have to because they have an Ultron now that processes at that much power, and they have a whole bunch of other superheroes like Tony Stark, Captain America, and the X-Men and all that stuff. So I think they're going to inevitably win, but the question is at what cost? Or what I kind of secretly hope is going to happen is that I secretly hope that Ultron will hack into this Ultron at some point, and that Ultron character will be taken away from the roster until a certain event is over. Like, that would be a cool storytelling technique. I think that would be super interesting. But people who are trying to lord the character and compete with him probably wouldn't like that too much. So I don't think they'll do that. But I would kind of actually hope for that, because I feel like that would be super interesting. And just to keep things a little more fresh and immersive just a little bit. But they'll probably never do that because, you know, the people tend to take these things very seriously because, I mean, this is competition, right? So how do we think Ultron will counteract this in a way that he's obviously going to see that he's going to be fighting himself, right? But Ultron ended with having the power of Cerebro. He was in there. So what do you think he's going to do with that once he has it? Because he's going to use it to fully be immortal, pretty much, because that's how the X-Men are using the Cerebro, is to be able to, when they die, Cerebro stores all their DNA data and basically creates a clone of them and revives them. Which is the idea of what Cerebro does in Season 2 right now. And Ultron wants to use it for the same purpose, but do you think, I think, that he might meld it and transform it into be something more, where he might create a version of himself that, well, okay, well, I was gonna say a creative version of himself that's not like metal or things like that, but I'm stupid because there's another gallery card that explains this, or a hero card that explains this, that Magneto couldn't even like do anything to him because he's a different type of alloy. He's a different type of like space metal called Mysterium that Magneto can't touch, or he can't like do anything with. He can't use his superpowers on it. It's not magnetic in any way. Oh, and speaking of Magneto, how is his story gonna end up? He has to fight. I feel like he's gonna have to have a showdown with Ultron. Because if you don't know, Ultron, in his confrontation with Magneto, he put a whole bunch of nanobots in Magneto's blood and tried to take over Magneto because he saw how powerful he was, right? And he wanted to use that to his own, his own army, right? But Magneto wasn't gonna have it, so he used the iron in his blood to slow down the blood flow and stop the progression of the nanobots, like taking over his whole body. So that's how it was left. So I don't know how Magneto's gonna get out of that. When he thought everything was over, before he decided to slow down his blood, he looked to the Charles Xavier statue, and he basically asked, the universe, or Charles Xavier's like, I really hope things are gonna, go well. And then Charles Xavier's voice in his head was like, it's gonna be okay, kid, pretty much. And then Magneto was like, oh, you're right, and then started slowing down his blood and all that stuff. So everyone keeps acknowledging Charles Xavier. I really hope they're not gonna put him in season 2.5, but I really hope that they allude to him possibly being in season 3, because I feel like it would be just such a fantastic opportunity to put Charles Xavier. I know he's in a wheelchair, and it might be, I don't know if it'll be clunky or silly, or to just like try and just run around, just trying to roll around trying to keep up with all the superheroes. I don't know how that would work, but I feel like it would be a super fun character, and he's honestly one of my favorite X-Men characters, which is why I really want him in the game. But I don't know, other than that, I don't know where the story might go from here for season 2.5, because it's really just going to be another confrontation with every other character that Ultron had, dealings with or confrontations with beforehand that, disabled them or pretty much destroyed them, because that Ultron came into the party and basically shattered everything. And then got Cerebro. So I have a theory that I think Ultron will probably maybe upgrade Cerebro to some form that will make him omnipotent in a way where he can get in everybody's heads. I don't know how that would work, but maybe something like that will happen. I'm not sure. What are you guys' thoughts? I just wanted to recap the season 2 story and try and theorize just a little bit before season 2.5 happens. But if you have any theories, let me know down in the comments, because I would be super interested in hearing them. But there's so much going on. I have no idea like what to make of it yet, which is why I'm so excited for season 2.5. So if you like this video, subscribe, like, comment down below. See you all in the next video. Bye-bye.